We are live now.
Are we live now?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah. Shama, can we start with the slide share and with the first slide that is the program?
Yes.
I extend a very warm greeting from all the committees of Fogsi for this presidential webinar on the World Sexual Health. Association of Sexual Health declared this day back in 2010 with an intention to create awareness about the sexual health on a global level. The theme for this year is consent, recognizing the importance of consent and mutual respect when it comes to sexual encounters. People should have complete and accurate information so that they can make informed choices when it comes to sexual and reproductive health. This day has been celebrated in countries, and Foxy has celebrated this in a big way this year by conducting rallies almost in every society all over India and with a poster and slogan competition. To begin with, let us pray to Lord Almighty for blessings for this webinar. Can we have the inauguration slide, please, Shama? Please double click on the summary so that Thank you, Dr. Sharma. I am also delighted to inform all of you that this is the first time that 5 committees of Foxley have come together for a cause and in a big way. We would like to thank the Sexual Health Committee, the Violence Against Women Committee, the Young Talent Promotion Committee, the Public Awareness Committee, and the Adolescent Health Committee being a partner in this webinar. Thank you so much. I invite Dr. Shama to please introduce our chairpersons for the Foxy committees.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's session. And the man behind our whole series of sexual health programs, and so far this program is headed by our our chairperson of Sexual Medicine Committee Foxy 2020-23, and past Vice President Rajkot Menopause Society 2020-22, and West Zone Coordinator Foxy Adolescent Committee 2016 and 2019, and Joint Secretary Rajkot Obscine Society. And he is so far in every place. So he's contributed to various Foxy publications and also faculty at national and state conferences. And our next committee, and Dr. Priyankur Roy, sir, and he is an Indian representative, WTOG and FIGU, and Joint Secretary Justices and National Coordinator Parentology Committee Foxy.
Shama, that's fine. Thank you so much. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, he's having a lot of awards so far, and I welcome you to this session, sir. Over to you, sir. Yeah, please.
Can we have the next slide, please? Can we have the next? Our next chairperson is Dr. Kiranmai Devni, ma'am. She has been the professor at GMC Vienna Party, the Telangana. She is also the chairperson of Foxy No to Violence Against Women Committee for the current year. She is a core member of the Foxy Youth Cell from this year 22 to 25.
Thank you.
And a core member of the coordinator of.
Thank you, Monica. Monica, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We welcome you, ma'am. Thank you. Our next slide, please change the slide. Is Dr. Supriya Jaiswal, madam. She is the chairperson of the Adolescent Health Committee, Fogsi, the vice president of the Patna OBGYN Society, the joint secretary of Fogsi Bihar and Jharkhand chapters, a chief consultant at SM Hospital, Patna.
Thank you.
and an
Thank you,
executive-
Monica.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, ma'am,
Yeah.
for being with us today in this webinar. And our next chairperson is Dr. Niharika Malhotra, ma'am. She is the chairperson of the Young Talent Promotion Committee. Yeah. Ma'am is a consultant at Rainbow IVF and a chairperson of the Young Talent Promotion Committee for the current year. She has been the joint secretary of Fogsi in the year 2018 and the editor general of also.
Thank you.
She's
Thank
an
you.
active
Thank
member
you for
of-
having me here. Thank you.
Thank you. I welcome all the chairpersons of the Fogsi committees and I hand over to Kiranmai madam for further conduction of this webinar.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monica and Dr. Shama. First of all, I think it's the first time that 5 committees are coming together for this very important day, the webinar, and the theme being consent. Without further ado, let me, Dr. Neeraj Jadhav, as you have said, the person behind this entire exercise has been actively doing since 1 month, pushing everyone and, doing so much. I mean, the webinar, the contest, the rally, everything. So, Jadhav, sir.
व्हाट्सएप आ गया इसमें ओके ठीक है मेजरली आपको
हेलो
गेम डालना
Neeraj
होगा
Jadhav,
गेम डालना तो
we
आपको
invite
आता ही है
you to address.
जाइएगा गेम डालिएगा
and-
आपको
Sama, can you stop sharing this screen?
वो मोबाइल ललका नहीं लेंगे, ललका तुम रखो अपना अभी
Yeah.
फिलहाल।
So thank you,
मेरा दोनों
Dr.
से
Kiran Mai.
खुद से नहीं ना लगता
Can
है।
you mute everyone, Monica, or please keep everyone in mute mode because some disturbances. You muted
Sir, I
me.
muted everyone. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so good evening and welcome to today's Fogsi Presidential Initiative webinar that is on the World Sexual Health Day. So I wish everyone happy World Sexual Health Day also. So why we are celebrating World Sexual Health Day? In 2010, the World Association for the Sexual Health called all their organization to celebrate one day that is on the 4th September as a World Sexual Health Day. It was an effort to promote the great social awareness on the sexual health across the globe. The first World Sexual Health Day was celebrated with the slogan, "Let's talk about it." And it was start to break the fears and the taboos associated with the sexuality. World Sexual Health Day has been celebrated with a wide range of activities, including roundtable discussion, conferences, art exhibition, and it has been celebrated in the schools, media, hospitals, library, universities, public places, art halls, theater groups also. So basically, World Association of Sexual Health wants to ensure that the sexual health issues are discussed everywhere. We as a Fogsi is a important part of when it comes to the health organization. We have more than 260 societies associated with the Fogsi and around more than 38,000 members as a Fogsi member. So as a Fogsian, it's our responsibility to contribute for the awareness about the sexual health. So when I contacted Pai sir, 4th September is a World Sexual Health Day and we should celebrate it. So sir, as a always supportive and sir is a visionary president of our Fogsi, he said that we will do this activity as a presidency activity. So thank you, Rishikesh Pai sir, for making this a big event. I also got support from all the chairperson, all the vice president, all the Fogsi office bearer to make this event a gala event. Especially thank to our my joint committee, PSC committee, No to Wow committee, AHC committee, Young Talent Promotion committee, who has we have done so many works behind the curtain to make this happen. Before this day, we have some competition. We ask every Fogsian to do a poster or slogan entry and send to us. We have a very good response for that competition, and for the result we will going to declare it in a program later on. We also asked all the societies of Foxy to do some awareness program on the yesterday, that was on the 3rd September, so that at a local level we can raise the awareness about the sexual health, and theme of this year that was on consent. So we also, so many societies took part in this event also, and we are getting so many entries for from them also, and we will give prizes to the best society activity also after some days, after finalizing all the entries. So I am thankful to all our dignitary also. So, they are stalwart in their profession. We have so many different personal faculties today. They are so busy, but still they agree to be part of this program. So I'm really thankful to all of them to be part of this program. I'm also eager to listen to today's discussion that is going to happen on the theme of consent, and there will be a talk on the sexuality education and how it can raise the healthy sexual behavior. So I'm eager to listen to the all program, and I'm excited also. So once again, I welcome everyone, and I hope this will be a great program, and you will enjoy listening to it. So thank you, Dr. Kiran Mai. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. I think you have put a context to the entire program. We are very happy. Our president, Dr. Hrishikesh Pai sir, has joined. So, Supriya, over to you to invite Hrishikesh Pai sir.
Sama,
Yeah.
sir, see. Yeah.
Dr. Shama, can you project sir's CV?
Yeah, thank you, and very good evening to all of you who all have joined in today, all the dignitaries respected.
Yes.
So now I invite our President Foxy, Dr. Hrishikesh Pai sir, who is the medical director of Bloom IVF Group. He is a administrator, Foxy Manyata Initiative. He has got lots and lots of major achievements, like awarded with this RCOG, Royal College of Obstetrician and Gynecologist, London, UK, the past Secretary General, Senior Vice President, Deputy Secretary General, Treasurer, Chairman Foxy, and had been the past President of ISAR, IAGE, MOX, and MSR. Sir has been awarded with Celebrity Doctor, who has helped more than 20 plus Bollywood celebrities have children and freeze their eggs. 50 plus awards, Limpius Lifetime Achievement Award by ISSRF 2019 and ISAR 2020. Sir has delivered many orations and invited as faculty across the world, editor of over 16 plus books and written more than 50 chapters. Journal of Gynecological Endoscopic Surgery, then editor Indian, that is OBGYN BJOG, founder chair Indian SIG American Society of Reproductive Medicine, and numerous research publication to his credit. Sir is also the postgraduate teacher in gynecology and DNB examinations, and he has got special interest in infertility, endoscopy, IVF, ICSI, egg freezing, and genetics. Overall, sir is a very humble person, and we are lucky to be working as an office bearer under his presidentship. Sir, over to you for your words of wisdom, sir.
Thank you. The day I can't get the hang. Okay. So basically, this is a joint effort, but I must tell you that Neeraj is a very passionate person. He done so. Especially his committee, which is there. It's not easy, in our country, which is still very conservative. And to do something like this is one of the most active. And I think Neeraj, this time you have earned your position to become the vice president of Foxy. I must tell you that you have one person who is really deserving, and we are looking forward to your foray into the next level of leadership. I'm very also happy that leading personalities like Dr. Prakash Kotari, who is the godfather of sexual medicine in our country and probably one of the leading lights in the world. And Dr. Asan is also with us, two very big luminaries. And I don't want to stand in between you and the program. I would also like to mention that this is a lot of other committees like the Public Awareness Committee, the Violence Against Women Committee, Adolescent Health Committee, and Young Talent Promotion Committee all have joined hands together. And this is what I believe in. We believe in inclusiveness, integration. All committees have to come together, and we have other stalwarts like Dr. P.K. Shah, some of our senior stalwarts like Dr. Narendra Malhotra, all of them are there. And our Yashwant, who is the vice president of mine this year and very dynamic lady, all of them are here, and I'm really looking forward to this wonderful Dr. Madhuri Patel, I think, is also there. And the theme of this year, as Dr. Neeraj Yadav was saying, is consent. So I'm eagerly looking forward to having a great discussion. I would say that we have to, when I wanted to, when I finished my MD, I was a bit confused. And at some point in time, I was thinking of getting into, like also. So, because I worked with Indira Hinduja, and then suddenly my direction changed and I went into IVF. But at some point in time, I would have maybe gone into and followed the footsteps of greats like Dr. Prakash Kothari, who is here with us today. Because I feel like, if you are having a sexual dysfunction, it can be a major disruptor in your life. And so though it is, it's a thing which is in the bedroom. We don't like to talk about it, but the time is come, then we can be more open and get treated for it so that we can be happy in our life. So thank you very much, Neeraj, and wish you all the very best in your future endeavors. You, as I told you, you have deserved it, and you have earned your vice presidentship. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I think Madhuri Madam would join. Is Madhuri Madam here? Shama, Dr. Shama, can you share the slide?
Madam will join in few minutes. I think she is not.
She is not here.
She called me and said she will join within 5 minutes.
Okay. Anyway, let me introduce Madam to all the delegates who have gathered here. Madam is actually, she's Secretary General Fogsi. She's the first woman Secretary General, Treasurer Fogsi, Joint Secretary and Joint Associate Editor. So many achievements and honors to her. Very down to earth, humble, and very, very helping personality. And Madhuri Patel, Madam, is a real woman leader, I can say. We'll have Madam within a short time. Over to you, Supriya, to introduce Dr. Prakash Kothari, sir, our chief guest for today's webinar.
Can I have the CV?
No. Go further.
Yeah.
Thank you. It is a proud privilege and honor such a legendary figure, Dr. Prakash Kothari. Sir, and thank you for accepting to be the chief guest of this gala event. Dr. Prakash Kothari, brief bio is he is the founder professor of the Department of Sexual Medicine at Seth GS Medical College and KEM Hospital, Mumbai, India. He has presided over the 7th World Congress of Sexology and the first International Conference on Orgasm. His path-breaking research on orgasm and the World Map, the World Association for Sexology, conferred upon him the title Man of the Year and its highest award, the WAS Gold Medal. He was awarded the prestigious National Civilian Award, Padma Shri, by the President of India in recognition of his significant contribution to the field of sexual medicine. Sir, we are honored to have you here and sharing the dais along with you. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir, for your words of.
Sorry, you have to unmute yourself. Kothari, sir?
Sir.
Unmute. Yeah. You are muted.
Sir, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Anna.
Can I start the discussion?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, it's indeed a pleasure and honor for me to participate in this World Sexual Health Day organized by Foxy. Sexual disorders are one of the most common disorders of human functioning, and it deserves attention of almost all physicians, regardless of their particular specialty, whether it's a gynecologist or an urologist. Well, for diagnosis, we use a quadriphasic model. There is desire, erection, orgasm, ejaculation in man. And for females, we use desire, lubrication, penetration, and orgasm. But for treatment, we have to use a triphasic model, which includes constitutional, that is physical, psychological, that is emotional, and relational, which is very, very vital. Today's theme is consent, which is very, very well. When Dr. Pai asked me the cases which we have seen at KEM Hospital, which are about more than 55,000 cases on record, he asked me what type of relationship disturbances you have come across in your clinical practice at KEM Hospital. We have come across three varieties of problems as far as the consent is goes. One, there is no consent at all. Second, but care is missing. And third, where there is consent, where there is care, where there is concern, and where there is compromise. Now let's talk about the first one. No consent at all. Here, most men use their partners as sleeping pills. After their job is done, they don't bother about the partner's satisfaction. The story is something like, और लहरें तड़पती रह गई. यहाँ ऐसा होता है कि शादी तो बरकरार रहती है, लेकिन रिश्ते खत्म हो जाते हैं. The next group which we come across is there is a consent. Yes, but the care and concern are missing. जैसे सुबह उठे, ब्रेकफास्ट किया, ऑफिस गए, शाम को आए वापस, स्कूटर पे पार्टनर को बिठाया तो गाड़ी में बिठाया, एक राउंड मारे और घर पे आ गए, कभी से यहाँ कोई अलग तरीके के रिश्ते होते हैं. ऐसा होता है कि दिल से अपनाया नहीं और गैर भी समझा नहीं. दिल से अपनाया नहीं और गैर भी समझा नहीं, ये भी एक रिश्ता है जिसमें कोई भी रिश्ता नहीं. The third one is a beautiful thing. There is a consent, there is a concern, there is a care, and there is compromise also. यहाँ पूर्ण, यहाँ पार्टनर की खामियां भी खूबियां नजर आती, because they ignore small things, they ignore small bickerings. रिश्तों की मजबूती के लिए ये बहुत ही जरूरी है. कहते हैं कि भाई छोटी छोटी चीजें इग्नोर करो तो बेहतर होगा. कहते हैं कि ये धूप ही का करिश्मा दिखाई देता है और सुलगती रेत पे दरिया दिखाई देता है. नजदीक से न देखो तुम, पहाड़ दूर से अच्छा दिखाई देता है. तो रिश्तों की मजबूती के लिए एडजस्टमेंट बहुत जरूरी है, कॉम्प्रोमाइज काफी जरूरी. Reminds me of a small story. In 1992, I was awarded the title of the sexologist of Asia in China. So when they gave me the award, they also gave me a book. वो 1000 पेज की किताब थी. Successful marriage and relationships. मैं घर आया, किताब देखा, I was surprised. The title was The Key to Successful Relationship. Or when I saw inside from first page to the 1000th page, there was only one word written: adjustment, adjustment, and adjustment. So adjustment is the most important. Well, adjustment needs to come from both the sides. Because there can't be a clap unless there are two hands. This is one thing which is missing. And we need to add our focus exactly on this part. If we add this focus on this particular aspect of adjustment, probably we can save many relationships. We can sages, because sex can be the climax of love and relationship, but it need not be. But the relationship and sex need not be the climax of sex. That's why relationship is necessary. And my message would be, we need to focus more attention on adjustment, which is missing in the couple. Thank you for inviting me, Dr. Pai. Thank you so much, Dr. Jadhav. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Kiran
sir.
ma'am,
Thank you.
Supriya madam is there, Madhuri madam is there.
Kiran, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Ma'am. Good evening. Good evening so much,
Good
ma'am.
Hello. Can I say something before
Yes,
Madam
yes, sir.
Madhuri
Fine,
says?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
because Dr. Prakash Kothari, it's really, I'm really grateful to you. You are such a big, बहुत बड़ी हस्ती हो, and we look up to you. You started a department in KM, this field, and you know, he's in London, and I still requested him, and he came today. So I'm really obliged, and wish you the very best of everything in life, sir. We really look up to you. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure, sir. My pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madhuri ma'am, welcome, and all are waiting for your message, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Kiran Mai. I am really apologize for joining late, but I could join, so I am really. So respect our chief guest, Dr. Prakash Kothari. He was our, as Dr. Rishikesh said, he was our teacher, and we used to really enjoy your, lecture, because there were so many, things you used to put, in a very, very, lucid manner, and you used to give examples. So I remember I used to come and attend your lecture with Dr. Alim Chandani. So very nice to see you over here and giving your advice. Then we have a guest of honor, Dr. Mohammed Shamsul Asad. Rishikesh Pai, our own president, who is the most visionary and most dynamic, innovative. Then we have Dr. Narendra Malhotra, our past president, who is going to moderate the panel, Dr. Amod Khan, Dr. P.K. Shah, Dr. Jagdish, Dr. Ms. Pallavi Ghosh, Dr. Veena Satyan, Dr. Rahul Wani, Dr. Tripti, Dr. Sabya, and of course, our vice president, Dr. Alka Pandey, Gitendra, Dr. Ashok, Asha Bakshi, Dr. Very, very fine, our vibrant chairperson of the Fogsi, Dr. Neeraj, Dr. Priyanku, Dr. then Supriya, and Dr. Kiran Mai, and Dr. Neharika, and all my dear friends. Very good evening to all of you. Today is really a unique day for all of us, that we are aware that the day is dedicated to the educate people about the sexually transmitted diseases, consensual sex, reproductive health, family planning, and and several other aspects of the sexual life. One of the main aims is to put an end to the stigma, myths, and embarrassment associated with the sexual practices. People often neglect sexual issues because of the conventional societal norms. However, people should stay healthy and fit. A good sexual health is also significant. WHO has rightly said that the good sexual health is the fundamental to the overall health and well-being of individuals, couples, families, and to the social and economical development of communities as well as the countries. The theme, as all of us has mentioned, consent, which is very, very important, but I'm very happy to share that Foxy, one of the mission is to serve, to advocate, the cause of the sexual and reproductive health and right of the women. And we all are working towards it for the, because we all are committed to the women's health. I congratulate Dr. Rishikesh Pai and all the vice president and all the chairperson for the most apt webinar. And I thank all of you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining despite such hectic schedule and elections going on. We have been troubling you almost every day. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
yeah. Now let me introduce, let me
Next slide.
acknowledge the presence of our vice presidents here. Yashodhara madam is here, and Dr. Asha Bakshi madam, Dr. Alka Pandey madam, Dr. Sampath madam again is busy in. Will join a little bit later, Dr. Geetendra sir. Now let me have the honor of introducing our another guest of honor, Dr. Muhammad Shamsul Ahsan.
Yeah.
Can I have sir's CV?
Yes.
So, sir is President at South Asian Society for Sexual Medicine, SASSM, member of International Society for Sexual Medicine, and he has many fellowships and degrees. He's the first ever qualified sexual medicine specialist, sexologist, and sex therapist. MPhil in psychiatry and fellowship in psychiatry, FCPS in 2010. We welcome you, sir, and we are all eager to listen to you. Over to you, sir.
Good evening from Bangladesh.
Yes.
It's my very pleasure to share the virtual dais with the legendary sexual figure, Professor Kothari. We admire him from the beginning of our career in sexual medicine. And I'm very much honored and thankful to the Foxy, the very prestigious society in India, Professor Rishikesh Pai, Professor Alka Madam, Professor Madhuri Patel, Geetendra Sharma sir, and Asha Bakshi, and all the dignitaries, and especially to Professor Neeraj Yadav, who has relentlessly pursued of carrying out the everything regarding sexuality. And with his way, through him, I'm connected to the Foxy, and it's my very best. I am very much privileged. Regarding this year's topic is consent, and I'm not sure about India, but in Bangladesh, it's a very new term, consent, when it comes to sexuality between two partners, especially couple. And we often forget about the mutual respect, autonomy, a person's right, and his implicit and explicit consent. Sometimes we always think that the consent will be automatic and they are bound to give consent. Are educating more and more in this part of the world, we have to be aware of this phenomena, that not all times women are ready to have physical intimacy. Sometimes they need their freedom. They need their partner to ask them whenever they are, trying to get into the intimate relationship. And as a society, Foxy has got the greatest privilege to bring out the issue of respect, autonomy, and proper communication between partners, because above God, below the gynecologist, most of the, they think they're next to God. And through the gynecologist, if they give this message to the, the women, and with the women, with their partners, they can easily share their views. And Foxy is a greatest platform to, disseminate how the women can get respected, how their autonomy can be respected, how they can be given a choice being intimate into the relationship. I think this webinar will very much happy to work with Fogsi and other societies. If we say about Bangladesh, we work with 5 different societies in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh OGSB, Ops and Gynae Society of Bangladesh, is one of our valuable partner. Through them, we are we are providing education and other the education platform, and just sharing our views with our gynecology partners and with our endocrinology. This is how the scientific scientific aspects of sexuality is being grown up. I'm pretty sure that the SASEM in India, with the help of Professor Neeraj Yadav, can easily make such a platform with the other societies, so we can minimize our gap, and so it will be a very good platform to exchange views and scientific information through different societies. And I am very much happy to be in this program and to listen from the all the dignitaries. And I am thank you all. Thank you from SASEM.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. I think now over to Dr. Niharika to carry on the competitions, much eagerly awaited slogan and poster competitions.
Thank you, Dr. Kiranmai ma'am, and thank you, Neeraj sir, for having me here. As we all are discussing that good sexual health is the fundamental of overall health and well-being of individuals, and it is very, very important for development of community. Also, it is important to know that not just as doctors, as you can see, there's a drastic change in the sexual health awareness in our country, and we can see a lot of cinema coming up in creating awareness on sexual health, which is so important. Just to bring this effort in together, we also decided to do poster and slogan competition with our societies, and we wanted people to be aware about what is the theme of Sexual Health Day and why is it important to know about sexual health. To present the results today, I would first like to thank our judges. We had 4 past presidents of Fogsi being a part as our judging team for the slogans and posters. For slogans, we had Dr. Hema Divakar and Dr. Reshma Pai, who have been pioneers in Fogsi, creating changes and bringing in women empowerment in our organization. For the posters, we had Dr. Naren Malhotra and Dr. Alpesh Gandhi, both very, very dynamic past Fogsi presidents, and we are judges were a part of today's program. So I would now like to welcome you all and invite Dr. Neeraj sir to be here as we announce the winners for the slogan competition. The first prize goes to entry number 43, Dr. Taru Chaya. Second was Dr. Gitendra Sharma, and third was Bhavik Khatri. We also had some consolation prizes, Dr. Kanak Priya Tiwari and Dr. Monica Gupta. So as you can see, the first prize, Dr. Taru Chaya from Jaipur. This was to incorporate slogans which were handmade or well thought of. Dr. Gitendra Sharma from Ahmedabad, second prize slogan. He submitted 2 entries and both were very well done. And third prize, Dr. Bhavik. And our consolation prizes for the slogans by Dr. Kanak Priya and Dr. Monica. Congratulations to all of you. We had almost 90 slogans which came to us, and it was a huge participation. For our posters, we had Eta Manvatikar, second prize to Dr. Vani Malhotra, third prize to Dr. Salil Sood, and consolation prize to Dr. Ananya and Dr. Saurabh Bose. So this was a beautiful poster made by Dr. Shweta. It was all handmade, as you can see, and she is from Chandrapur. Second poster by Dr. Vani, and this was also hand painted and made. And it's a beautiful depiction of consent and theme of sexual health. This poster actually is a video which is handmade and it moves. And it's soon. And our consolation prizes for the poster were Dr. Ananya and Dr. Saurabh. So congratulations to all of you and thank you for participating.
Actually, everybody who have participated, all are winner, but we have to select few. So, yes. Yes,
Yeah,
Dr. Kiran.
congratulations. I think all the slogans and the posters were very, very, sensible. And I always look forward to this wonderful cap. Congratulations to all. Sir, can we move ahead with the
Yes,
panel?
sir. Yes, Dr. Kiran. Yeah.
Yeah, so going ahead with the panel, which is about the theme of the World Sexual Health Day, that is consent. We have none other than Professor Narendra Malhotra, sir, who is our past president, Foxy, and sir dons so many multiple hats, and we keep saying sir has so many hands and arms, and always at his pleasant best of us, irrespective of our age and cadre. Sir is Managing Director of Global Rainbow Healthcare, Director ART Rainbow IVF, President INSARG, Vice President of CEFOG, and past President of so many global organizations. So I think it takes a really long time to, if I have to introduce you, sir. Let me introduce the panelists. Again, we have very senior Foxians and other members, which I think adds a lot of present panel. So Gitendra sir will join in shortly. So we have sir. Can we go back? Yeah. Sir Amod Khan sir is very well known in all our Foxy programs, especially social aspects. Sir is social development expert, child and women welfare, presently member coordinator of the NITI CSO Standing Committee of NITI Aayog, chairman of Domestic Workers Sector Skill Council, General Secretary Prayas JAC Society, which is a and chairperson of Delhi Commission for Protection of Child Rights, DCPCR, Government of NCT, Delhi. Welcome you, sir. It's really a pleasure to have you. Can we have Dr. Jagdish, sir? I think this is too small to, yeah. Jagdish, sir, is Professor and Head of Forensic Medicine, Vaidehi Institute of Medical Sciences, honorary named Sehat of Mumbai, very well known NGO, member National Committee, which formed the uniform guidelines for medical examination of the sexual violence victims, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India 2014. So many other accolades and achievements to his biodata. And next panelist. Can I have the next? Dr. Pallavi is very well known to me. She's a social activist, very young person. Her main area of action, I think single-handedly with her Impact and Dialogue Foundation, she has rescued 10,000 children and women from trafficking. It's a very danger-ridden activity that she does. And I think she will add you a lot of value to this panel. Next panelist is Dr. Veena Satyanarayana, again another accomplished additional professor in the Department of Clinical Psychology at the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, NIMHANS, Bangalore. She has vast clinical experience in individual, couple, and family psychotherapy in treating mental health. Special interest in gender, violence against women, and mental health in leadership positions. We welcome you, Dr. Veena, and then Dr. Rahul Vani, sir. He's honorary consultant, Matadi Hospital Trust, immediate past president of Navi Mumbai Ops Gynae Society. Next, I think we have Dr. Tripti. Again, she's a multifaceted personality, very active Foxian. She's an associate director, Department of OBG. We all know her as an author of so many books. I have a psychologist. She's recipient of APJ Abdul Kalam's Appreciation Award, so many awards, but she's a blogger, poet, columnist, and very active in social issues. Uh, Welcome you all. Over to you, Naren sir.
Dr. Kiran, Gitendra is there, so just introduce him.
Yeah. So Gitendra sir is our dear vice president. He's a medical legal expert. He's also a singer, and we all know him for his medical legal expertise. He's done LLB with 15 gold medals, topped Gujarat University in practice, consents in OB-GYN. As you can see, this is our topic. Laws a doctor must know. chairperson of the Ethics Medical Legal Committee of the Fogsi. I think we have who's who of the experts in the panel, and it's up over to Naren sir for the moderation of the panel.
Very good evening to all of you. It's indeed a pleasure to be here at this very, very prestigious day of World Sexual Health Day. So, and what a day to have a panel on the in sexual relationship. And the issue of consent has been pushed to the forefront recently, not only in India and United States, but all over the world. And it's great that the Fogsi Sexual Medicine Committee with 4 other committees has organized this meet on 4th of September today on World Sexual Health Day with the theme of consent. What this recent dialogue has revealed is, however, that there is a conflicting understanding of what constitutes of sexual assault and what constitutes of rape. So it is time for all of us to come on the same page when it comes to consent. And it is time to sort out this matter once for all. And we have this great esteemed panel of Dr. Geeten Sharma, the Vice President of Fogsi, and then we have Amod Khan, Jagdish, and who have been working with the government and with the police and with all and will be knowing so much about this. Pallavi Ghosh, Veena, the psychologist, and Tripti. So welcome all of you. Can I just hear from all of them that they are there? Geeten, Amod, Jagdish, Pallavi, and I'll use the first.
I'm here.
Sir,
Great.
sorry,
I'm here, sir, Dr. Jagdish.
Sorry, sir. Dr. Shaiba Saldana also is one of the panelists.
Shaiba Saldana is there on the pictures, but in the last I did not get her name. Shaiba, welcome to this panel. So it's great that we have all of you here to talk on first don't discuss. So let's start with Me Too. Now the question, Tripti, to you is the blogger. What was this hashtag Me Too? And when it came, everyone started doing Me Too, Me Too, Me Too. So what was this Me Too?
So Me Too was actually started somewhere in 2017, if I'm not wrong, by an American actress. I'm forgetting her name. So this was to project to the world that sexual harassment exists, and it is something very real, and men have used their position. And the objective was that women have this inherent tendency to close up once they suffer from assault. They feel they have fear, they have shame, they have guilt. They don't tell, girls don't tell their mother, because the mother would say, "Aur aise kapde pehno, aur jaake baat karo, aur yahan jao." So they always feel somehow responsible. And second, of course, it was to spread awareness about harassment. So that is how the movement started. Somehow it didn't.
So let's go to the psychologist.
Okay.
Hashtag Me Too. Why did it? I mean, why did it start? And everyone started saying Me Too. Suddenly they realized they too had suffered from the same thing. Pallavi,
yes,
or anyone who can answer this from the psychology part? Yeah.
Sure.
Veena, yes.
Yes. So I think that's a very important question. So with the Me Too movement, I think a lot of awareness, consent about sexual violence and all of it. And a lot of people therefore identified saying that I too have had similar experiences. And I think...
so what, it was only women? Why men didn't come out with Me Too? Men also get sometimes sexually harassed and beaten up. And it is believed that in India, 1 out of 3 husbands get very beaten about by their wives. So Me Too.
I think, it is important. Genders are, experiencing gender-based violence. But in countries like ours, it is really the women who are disproportionately more.
Absolutely right. 1 in 3 Indian women, educated, uneducated, face some sort of harassment. And even refusing to give them some money for pocket money is harassment, and it's an assault. And that is why the Me Too movement started, and everyone started saying, yes, me too. And that I wish that picked up and gathered. Anything on Me Too before we go to the consent? Any one of my panelists wants to add on this? Hashtag Me Too.
If you look at Me Too,
Yes, Dr. Abod.
from my point of view, my angle, I arrive at this meeting from a very different position. Except Pallavi, I think all are doctors here. I'm an ex-police man. I look after children, and I do a lot of work for the.
We wanted a police guy to be here.
I know. So now, no, but then I bring in two very different kind of thought. I mean, the Me Too comes to me, number one, if you take me back to my police kind of connects, that lot many very important cases in the country. You know it very well. Those very important, well talked about criminal cases, which brought in changes, world of changes into the way we look at these crimes, because it clearly exposed that there are very large number of people, the women particularly, who have suffered on account of the fact that they were not able to express, they were not able to say what exactly conspiracy of silence there. Now, the other thing which is not spoken as Me Too, I had the opportunity to lead that national study on child abuse, 2005-7, which led to POCSO. And perhaps you may not be aware, or perhaps you're aware, that out of 18,000 respondents, which included children and young adults, those kind of people, nearly 50%, 52% of them, that means every second child, both male and female, they told about something wrong happening abuse in their life, and that was they came out of it. I mean, only when we conducted this study and we contacted 18,000 such people, they came out of it, and came POCSO, as you know, and after Nirbhaya, as you know, came that big change in the law, that is the Criminal Law Amendment Act post Nirbhaya, and then different types of crimes were added to the statute book, and that was on account of this process.
Yeah. Okay. So at least this Me Too, when it started, brought out these surveys and brought out the real problem in front of everyone. Our doctor lawyer, sir, what is consent? We thought we had to give only consent or take consent for operations. What is this consent for relationship? Dr. Geetendra.
Sir, basically consent is an agreement in between two or more parties. So if we go through different judgments given by Supreme Courts, so it is mentioned that it is an agreement and which is a valid contract. So verbally, or whether it is implied consent through gestures or by any means. So basically, contract is an agreement which is done in between two parties, whether it is orally given, whether it is given by gesture, or whether it is given in writing. So it is simply, that is the understanding on my side.
So anyone wants to add on this? Consent when a person agrees to give permission to the other person to do something?
Define consent, sir. Consent is an agreement ad idem. Means after understanding the consequences of whatever is going to happen, if somebody agrees to a particular act, then it is a consent.
So Dr. Pallavi, would you like to add consent, anything to it?
Yes, like for example, because I'll just give an example. So when I work with traffic survivors, what happens is that I never get them on camera. Like I have never clicked their pictures. I even don't come, because according to them, the whole concept of consent is diluted. A lot of us, what we do, we get a signal, we get a like printout with written that I this acknowledge, I accept, and we take the signature. But when you talk about consent, consent is something that needs to be taken, at every instance. Sometimes it might be like you have taken a consent from somebody.
Consent needs to be taken at every instant. Everyone should remember that. And Jagdish, yes, I was coming to you. So yeah. If you say, is this okay? What are my boundaries? Do I try? Does it feel good? Are these consents? Can I kiss you? Dr. Jagdish, yes, I was coming to you only.
Yeah, I want to differentiate consent from will before I get into what you have raised. Because many a time in sexual relations, people confuse between will and consent. Most of the sexual violence, we always come back, the accused. And now what essentially we have to understand is somebody may have a desire, but that desire doesn't necessarily mean they have agreeing to on social pressures or circumstantial issues. They have given permission for the sexual act. And the converse also, sometimes somebody may give a consent or give a permission, but that may not be a legal valid consent in terms of somebody impersonating, somebody trying to take, somebody trying to put somebody on a fear of death or hurt. So these two things we need to differentiate. And once this differentiation is understood, then in between a sexual relation are the two agreeing parties. So at every step, they need to look out whether they agreed for the kissing part or what are the boundaries, to what extent they are agreeing for the sexual relation.
Dr. Rahul Wani, what is legal? Should we make an affidavit before having sex?
The consent in sexual relationship is quite different from a consent in legal terms.
Yeah, but the way they describe it seems like that we have to make a written agreement or something.
No, consent in sexual relationship is.
Sir, we have mentioned through gesture. It is not
through
always.
gesture. Okay, through gesture also. We'll come to that gesture again, Jitin, just now.
Yes, yes.
So what I would like to say, consent in sexual relationship is not always written. At every instance, you cannot be asking whether I can do this, whether I can do that. It is a response your partner gives to, and you can differentiate between a positive response and a negative response, and you should be a responsible person, a person who, sex is an expression of love. So if there is love, care, and if you take the responsibility of this relationship, then probably you understand what the limits are, what responses are yes and what responses are no. And
perfect.
That is where
Dr. Shelva, Dr. Shelva, if she's there.
Yeah, you're talking to me?
Yeah.
No, that's not consent.
So that's not consent. So only saying I love you is not consent, yeah? So then what is
I love you is, first of all, I would probably disagree with Dr. Rahul that sex is not an expression of love alone.
So sex
love
is not an expression of love. See, we're getting some very interesting things out of this panel.
So it's all about, sex
people,
is just an act links and the relationship and communication between the people, two or more people within that act, that makes a difference as to what is there. And I think the importance of consent comes in because it happens, and I'll be discussing that in the subsequent part, that in a male-dominated society, which is gendered, where females feel they have no right to say no, where marriage is considered a license for sex, the question of consent doesn't even arise because she is not presumed to want it.
So are you saying that marriage is a consent? No. So she's not.
Our parliamentarians don't agree, of course.
Yeah.
That's a
I know that is the trouble. So consent is something which is freely given, which is reversible, which is informed, which is enthusiastic, and which is very specific. If you give a consent, can I kiss you? It only stops there. If you want to proceed further, you have to take another consent. And suddenly the girl or the man may reverse it. Say, enough, I'm going back to number one. Please, sir. Because we want to clarify these.
Someone said that about the agreement or the contract. Since I come from the legal background also, I mean the agreement and contract, decidedly consent in the sex or consent is something very different. It's a highly complex thing, which is gradually opening up. And if you look into the various court judgments and the disputes and the cases, it's endless kind of situations coming up in
Sir, bedroom में दो लोग होते हैं, to make it at 1 minute. Sir, bedroom mein there are only two people.
Let me finish.
How
please.
will they prove that consent was given or not given?
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Just finish you. See, first of all, consent I mentioned is not something like contract or agreement in the legal term. It is something very different. You mentioned correctly about this phrase, where you talked about free will, talked about reversible. See, a person can withdraw consent at any point of time.
Yes.
Consent can be through coercion, can be through intoxication, can be through anything else. But one very important factor is it's a matter of free choice and autonomy. There has to be a person, whoever he is or she is, her autonomy and free choice is very important. She has the right to decide. She has the right to decide.
Let me clarify,
That
sir.
is very complex because it keeps on changing its color and shape and the kinds of situations you come across, kissing, hugging, and sharing food, sharing life. They're all part of the sexual activity also. Sex has become far more pervasive. Let me POCSO and the changes in law recently. Sexual activities is far more than just a penetrative sex or assault or whatever. It has many.
So that is.
Let me clarify, sir.
Disagree.
Let me clarify, sir. If you go to section 375, that is defining rape, it defines that what is consent, and in which it is clearly mentioned that consent means an unequivocal voluntary agreement when the woman by words, by just verbal or non-verbal communication, willingness to participate in the specific sexual act. So it is an agreement, no doubt, and agreement when it is in the form of two parties. In law, it is known as contract. So you cannot say that agreement is not a contract or contract is not an agreement. For that, you have to understand Section 13 of Indian Contract Act.
No,
so basically,
I not only understand, sir.
Absolutely right.
For long 35 years, the point I am trying to say that in a forum like this, I am here today. I would not like to speak the language of
whether oral or whether verbal
different.
or non-verbal, but it is an agreement.
No, it's
Okay,
fine.
okay.
You cannot say that it is not an agreement.
Because
So it is an agreement.
Legally, the courts have to decide. No, just one sentence. Your point is well taken. 375 understand fully well. The point I am trying to say, legally, it has to be established when the matter becomes a dispute.
So every agreement is
the discussion that we are having today, consent has many on the domain of 375, unfortunately. So I'm not talking here like.
So let's move ahead. Otherwise, we'll be stuck between lawyers and this thing, and which happens, and फिर तारीख पे तारीख होती जाएगी, and we won't be finishing. So Dr. Veena, this girl gave a consent to kiss this guy, and now she's walked out. Can someone reverse the consent?
I think
agreed to certain things, but she's walking away now.
Decidedly, she can walk.
People should have that freedom to withdraw consent, to change their minds. I think that's very natural.
They were in relationship for 20 years. And
That's fine. That's fine.
So that's fine. She says anyone can walk out anytime. It has to be ongoing. Your partner needs to give consent before it takes you to the next level. And if it doesn't, you just walk out. Yeah.
I think it's okay for a woman to choose to withdraw consent or, change her mind. Because we are saying that consent is an ongoing thing. It's not a one-time thing.
So it's not that you've given consent. Okay, now we are well in relationship. Any day, any time we can do whatever. The man cannot think on those lines. Yes. So,
Sir, I think what is also important to talk about is capacity to consent. Maybe it will come up later.
Yeah, we'll come to that. We'll come to the capacity. So let's describe this. So consent, ladies and gentlemen, what is enthusiastic. It's a clear agreement between the participant to engage in a specific sexual activity. That's it, period. There is no room for different views on what consent is. People incapacitated by drugs, alcohol cannot consent. If clear, voluntary, coherent, ongoing consent is not given, then it is sexual assault or rape. and there is no room for ambiguity, assumption. It is and non-consensual sex.
Yes.
Yes, decidedly. Rape is well defined. Rape, there is no issue. We are only talking about the consent. Consent is not,
to sex.
and of course,
So if there
a
is no
large
consent,
number
it
of
is sexual assault. No, sir.
no. The issue is that there are many people. We are not discussing the invalid consent, and somebody's no capacity to give consent. Even that is one part of it. But then let us not limit the whole thing to rape. Rape
No,
is only
sexual
one
assault.
very small part of
Rape,
it. Let us not decide consent on rape.
We are not going to talk on rape right now. It's become
to here was about rape. We are not talking about rape. We are talking about the sexual freedom.
sexual freedom.
A larger issue.
We are talking about consent, and we're talking about consensual sex, or the.
Let me clear, any sexual act is done without consent is rape only.
Or sexual assault.
Yes, yes.
Sexual assault or rape. Is there a
Sir,
difference between them?
Sir, if you go through the definition of
now it is changed. The definition of rape is much larger. I agree.
See, a marital rape.
Definitely, yes.
So there can be.
Now, currently, can I come in, Narendra?
Yes, please.
See, though we all know that whenever there is a non-consent, definitely, even within the relationship of a marriage, it should amount to the same rape. But unfortunately, in an Indian context, we have not recognized marital rape as a separate offense. Any health consequences consequent to sexual violence, and in a marital situation, we are blindly accepting it. Though the Supreme Court clarified in 2017 that if the wife happens to be less than 18 years, okay, then that can be brought under POCSO. But unfortunately, the wife above 18 years, we still are in question mark. She has to fight with the regular situation of other offenses and not under the marital rape. When we are talking of consent, and particularly in a married relationship, and when we agree that both parties should agree for it, it's unfortunate.
Let me ask you a question here. How does this woman or man prove in the court? They were the only two in the room. He says she said yes. She says I said no. He says she pushed me. She says, so it's going to be something very, very difficult to prove that it was non-consensual or consensual or force, because they have been married for 10 years.
Yeah, rest of all the activities which happen in the marriage are all on trust. So when all those don't need a separate proof, so definitely the marital.
And here there are no evidence unless they've got a camera in the room.
Yeah,
marriage,
the same applies
to
to the rest of the rape situations also. It happens in private largely. When we are proving those offenses in the court, definitely marital rape would also be an issue. Circumstantial evidence definitely would try to could prove the marital rape.
Okay, one last point, if you permit me, the marital issue of marital rape is separate, but then there is a provision of restitution of conjugal rights, which presupposes sex. So that's something, this context of marriage and the consent, the law prevails that less than 16 years now, 15 years and below. I think you can't have sex with your wife also. That's a point there. And now, as you know, the new bill.
Each part we all agree. It's the other. So let's come to Dr. Tripti and Dr. Rahul Wani. The consent is clear, ongoing. What exactly you mean by this?
Sir, it means that, Sir Abul.
Yeah, Rahul or Wani, Tripti, both of you can take.
I would take this. Now, once you enter into a relationship, or once the act begins, any of the partner is free to just move out of it. At any point of time, if the partner says, no, I don't want to continue with this bit, that means the ongoing consent is not there, and the person at that point of time does not want to continue with the sexual act. So it has to be at any point of time. It may not be verbal, or it may not be just gesture or a physical movement or pushing away or moving out is just a gesture that I am not interested in further continuing with this act.
So, Tripti, the couple is in the heat of foreplay and everything, and suddenly, so sab ekdam se the whole temperature goes down.
Sir, and if supposing that they don't take the consent, then again the situation will go out of control. So it is better to be sure of your partner before you make the next move.
So
it's not like a legal document as we discussed that you have to sign. It won't take much if both of them are actually into it, if you look at it practically. But
so
yes, if you feel that your partner is not into it, one must stop at there. Otherwise, they'll be facing.
So basically, it is a communication in between which should carry on and going on. Chalo, let's say. Coherent, what does it, who's going to, whoever can take this. Coherent, what do you mean by coherent? Pallavi, you can talk about this, or Veena, psychologically. What is coherent? What do you mean by coherent? Let's describe each word of this consent. Today, we're going to thrash it out.
I think, coherent would mean that, we are sort of coherent, both, we are not giving any mixed signals. We are not any ambiguous messages. So what we are saying verbally, non-verbally, they are sort of in sync. There is clear communication. So coherent is also about just clarity in communication about consent.
So a Punjabi married to a Malayali, she is saying yes in Malayali and he is not understanding. He says it's uncoherent or coherent. I did not know whether she said yes or no. And he carries on. But she said, I said no.
Which is not the only medium of communication.
So language does not come in.
Language is not the only medium. There are many other mediums.
So they can say gesture or whatever. And of course, drunken sex comes here. If you're drunk with alcohol, if the woman is asleep, she's been given sleeping pills, which someone said, and she's not fully awake and she's not talking. Pallavi, what do you say about this?
This is exactly why I said capacity to consent is also important.
I think that is something. For example, if you talk about marital rape also, like I personally think people might take me the other way.
Pallavi, you got two devices on in your room. एक को बंद कर दो. I think एक को आ रहा है.
No. I think that must be the neighbors. Just hold on. I personally think the whole concept of when you talk about marital rape also, if you just think, a lot of people ask me what is marriage. I feel marriage is a license to sex. I personally feel a lot of people really feel upset when I say a lot of women with whom I work, they say that their consent is never taken. Like the way what they want to do or what they don't want to do. It's all about the men satisfying themselves. Also, at times I've heard from men also who are saying that they are not asked. So I think it's a very thin line. We always mix it up. So I think the whole concept of consent, if you say, I think maximum people do not even know what is consent, and then
So
and if you talk about
Pallavi, men would think wearing clothes like this, as you will see, is consent, and very few men get raped, and if they get raped, they enjoy it. So let's not talk about men giving consent. So,
can I come in?
No.
Wearing clothes like this. Wearing clothes like this, is this consent? If a woman walks into a room with men wearing very revealing clothes, is it consent?
No.
Can I come in?
No. Yes, please. No. Yes, please come in. Anyone?
Again, we have to look in, because in the past, this used to be always a challenge, like what the examples which you gave, whether people were able to communicate, whether what they communicated, whether it was understood in the same way. If you look at the current law, particularly after the 2013 amendment, a separate subclass has come unable to communicate. So that has a huge dimension. So if the communication, what was done by one and the other person understood it differently, so that means the communication did not the situation of rape or sexual violence. So this is something which we need to keep in mind. So you brought in the term enthusiastic sex. So it doesn't necessarily mean there is somebody writing an agreement, a written agreement. But the issue what comes out in a sexual relation is that participation, that proactive participation, that enthusiasm in the ongoing activity is also a type of consent. But if somebody is withdrawn from it, so that's the subtle indication that consent is not there. In multiple things, not necessarily meaning on the verbal sense.
Dr. Shelva, voluntary also comes in consent. Voluntary, what do you understand? What should people understand? Voluntary is consent is sexy. That is what the slogan is.
Yeah, this is a little sort of trying to persuade people to take consent before they have sex is the meaning for the slogan. But ultimately, voluntary means of your own volition. That is understanding the consequences of an act and understanding the effect it will have. Yes, is considered consent. And I'd like to just put in one point here. It's like for 20 years, you may be eating food with your partner. And you may be served food every day and similar food and different foods. And one day the person says, you say that, I don't want dal anymore. And the person says, you've had dal for 20 years. You want to tell me you don't want to have dal? What nonsense, I'm going to give you the dal. We wouldn't even accept it. There doesn't have to be a camera or a TV in the room to say it's a volition. There doesn't have to be any day you don't feel like having dal anymore and you're not going to have it. And you would not like to eat it, and the other person has to respect that wish.
So that makes things very clear, and it is important to understand that any type of sexual activity without consent, voluntary consent, including even touching, fondling, kissing, or full sexual intercourse, is a sexual assault. Let's not go into
let us see. We are limiting ourselves to a very elite situation.
The basic
and it's it's a
That's
known
what I'm
fact.
saying. In our country, these are not possible, sir.
That not majority, probably, particularly in the context of women, it happens across. I think considering the kind of people we have, I mean, the orgasm, for example, it is said to be not being. I mean, very, very few women, particularly in certain kind of situations, they achieve that kind of pleasure, that kind of orgasm. It doesn't happen. And then otherwise also voluntary sex in the manner appear to the far cry, actually, in majority of cases. But then the point is that if you want to distinguish, there is an element of force or coercion, there is an element of being circumscribed or get caught in a situation that is not voluntary. I mean, we can define what does it mean voluntary, and
so we can define. Yes,
consent presupposes the voluntary kind of desire or voluntary kind of giving yourself to that situation.
Sir, voluntary word again, sexual consent or whether anything else. But consent, if it is obtained by coercion, or if it is obtained by fraud, or if it is obtained by undue influence, or if consent is taken by mistake of facts, these
then
all
it is sexual assault.
are not pre-consents.
They are not consent. They are not consent. Yes.
So
then it is sexual assault. That now we are understanding that. So everyone should be aware of that. So when and how to ask for a consent? Anyone wants to take that? Rahul Wani, when should a person and how to ask for a consent? Aaj full moon hai yaar, aaj to allow kar de. Things like that.
I think the in sexual relationship it is more of the act between the two people, the gestures between them, the understanding between them. It is not actually asking for a consent of. So it is one act after the other, and the response of the partner will definitely say.
Sir, but consent before engaging.
I think the person should have the sensitivity to understand the response of the other person. And I mean, any one of the partner should also understand something, then the girl would say, now they have come so far, they cannot go back. So women should also understand that at any point, if they are not comfortable, they should withdraw. And the man also should be sensitive or obsessed with themselves. They're not even looking at what their other partner is saying. It can work both ways, both genders, but in majority of cases, this is how things are.
So it's crucial that the consent should set up boundaries, and those boundaries can be reversed anytime, even in a casual, long-term or marital relationship. That is, and it's just not that when it starts, wham bam, thank you, ma'am, that sort of thing is not allowed, or not a consent, and that if the woman is not ready for it. So for engaging in a sexual act.
When she's just as enthusiastic as you are.
So enthusiasm,
consent.
free will, voluntary, and then you have to draw the traffic light and you see that there are many things which are red. If she's on
Let's
the
not,
light, please
let's not go
back off.
so far. I think we are going too far into the subject by trying to make things mechanical. There's nothing mechanical about it and should not be mechanical.
So it is not mechanical, but abhi kya kare na sir, law ne mechanical kar diya.
Law ne तब तो होगा, तब तो यहाँ
अभी लोगों को पता लगेगा तो dispute बहुत सारे होंगे.
हाँ, जब dispute होता है, dispute takes place, then all these things may come up, as you say. It's a fact. But in normal, like marriage, for example.
So it's not just marriage. Young children, young boys, young girls need to understand this.
School girls now, 12.
All are into premarital sex. They're all in teenage sex. So they need to understand consent.
It's for everyone.
Yes.
The biggest issue coming up now, there's just one point.
And if you're initiating sex
the biggest
and
issue.
You become angry, frustrated, if your partner declines, then it is also not okay. You should take it correctly and always ask and then proceed. So what is sexual assault? Sir, the policeman.
No, the sexual assault is well defined. There is no issue about it. Sexual assault is very much defined in the law. And there are various provisions. Some of us, we have discussed already that what amounts to it. Any form of sexual punishment is given not less than 3 years. That kind of punishment is given. And there are exceptions in respect of children and younger people. So that is there. I mean, anything which is done without consent, without willingness, and then the person is not agreeable to it, the person can declare it a sexual assault.
Dr. Jagdish?
Yeah, non-penetrative sexual act, particularly with a child, sexual assault.
We'll come to POXO at the age in the next thing. But otherwise,
in our country, sexual assault, currently we are looking at as non-penetrative sexual act, which is different from the penetrative sexual act. So that's what is sexual assault. And here also consent would be an issue, but largely we are looking at a child. So the consent of a child is immaterial there.
That's correct.
So say office, harassment at workplace, harassment, evening without asking, all that will come into sexual assault.
That comes as sexual harassment. That's another legal entity where we have a separate law looking at workplace sexual harassment. So after POXO, sexual assault is defined very clearly as non-penetrative act.
Rahul Wani,
the sexual assault,
consent is
I can read out. Sexual assault in section 7 of POXO is defined as whoever with sexual intent touches the vagina of the child or makes the child touch the vagina, penis, anus, or breast of such a person or any other person, or does any other act with sexual intent which involves physical contact without penetration is said to commit sexual assault. This is different definition section.
So that is sexual assault. It's mainly for. So Dr. Pallavi, Dr. Veena, Dr. Rahul Wani, Tripti, is consent a mood killer?
No.
Everyone is in a mood and suddenly you said, I have to take, oh shit, I forgot to take consent.
Sir, if it is not there.
So consent has to be taken before the mood starts.
Very difficult.
Pallavi, what do you say about this? And Dr. Veena, the psychologist?
I think we've already discussed the fact that consent has to be taken before, and we should not think about taking consent as dampening the mood or being a mood killer. I think one owes that amount of respect to their partner.
Correct. So that it should not be taken. So you could ask the right questions to get the right answers. Ways to talk about consent. How should a person talk about consent? I mean, I got this thing, how to check your whether, let's talk about sexual contents. Do you want to? Do you feel good? Where do you like to be touched? I mean, are these questions that can I kiss you? Can I take this off? Can I take this off also? Do you want to have sex? I mean, these are, can I, whatever you want to fill in the blank. I mean, these are the questions should be asked. They should be asked every time.
Very, very impractical, sir. Very impractical.
Impractical, no, that is what I'm saying.
I don't think so.
If you start asking this, mood will get off.
Yes.
Sir, I really don't think so. I think one can use them to be subtle, to be, there's a way to ask things.
So implied, as Giten was saying, even isharo mein ek chalega.
This entire thing is it can't be explained into words so easily. And as we discussed earlier, even language is not a barrier, for example. So there's no need to say all these things. These expressions are meaningless. If you really talk about a situation that happens, it's a combination of physical gesture, emotional gesture,
physical gestures and
so there you don't have to say, can I kiss you or can I take this off? This is absurd actually. These kind of things are never spoken.
But this is what it says this is what it says when you take consent. So if you're really in the heat of the moment, and that is what when I said, if you start asking these questions, the mood off to hoega hi. Tripti, you said.
Actually, if I could mention over here.
Yeah, yes, please.
If you look at it, you are looking at it still from a male-dominated heteronormative system. Because you are saying mood off, you're not talking of the woman's mood off, you're talking only of the guys.
It
Shall I take off this or shall I take off that? And the mood is going to go. Whereas you're not talking of the woman's mood off because she was never in the mood in the first place because that consent was not taken. And as progressively the man pushes his mood onto her, she is not able to at any point say no. So it's so simple that when you're going out for a dinner with somebody you care for and love and there's a mood, you would ask which sort of dinner would you like to have. When you go there, you say, what would you like to eat? Not necessarily what I want to eat is what you want to eat. But the entire concept of asking does not have to be a mood killer. In fact, if your asking gives the other person more desire to be with you because of the respect and love she feels or he feels, why would it be a mood killer? It would be a mood enhancer.
Yeah, even I agree to that. I mean, there's a way of saying things that you're not making it like a contract. So they can ask these questions and, gauge the feelings of the woman, understand them.
So here are some examples on what the phrases which they say that yes or no, and someone won the best poster award on this also. I'm sure, I want to, don't stop, I still want to, and I want you to, or no, stop, I don't want, I don't know, I'm not sure, I don't think so, I want to, but I don't know, this makes me uncomfortable, I don't want anymore, this feels wrong. All these are yes and no's, and someone put it in the poster today also in one of the posters. So these are things which can be implied by gestures also, and not necessarily, and of course they can be put in words also.
But then these all yes, they are not coming as a mood killer. Yes, it's a good thing. I mean, they don't kill the mood, and no is very important. And even if they stop here, they're saving the trouble later.
Correct.
So it's all right.
Yes, Amod sir.
No, I'm only saying that these expressions, which I can see through, these expressions appear to be more realistic, more logical, and they happen. These words can be brought in, and they actually go behind giving consent and not giving consent.
So these are the words which are usually.
I mean, you recall the famous dialogue of Amitabh Bachchan in that famous film about when she says no, it's no.
No means no.
That emphatic thing. So I think not only women, I think every man has the right to say no.
Yes,
and sex is not a one-way affair. It can't be. If it is a one-way affair, Either way, it's a rape.
Either way. So that's verbal consent. This is how people should
But there
interact.
are ways. I mean, but they appear logical. The last slide, I think, was interesting because it really brings out in subtlety, yes and no, both situations.
Sir, and yes also for what it has been given for. Yes also needs to be understood in the right context.
अरे यार फिर every step पे yes मांगना पड़ेगा.
मांगना पड़ेगा मतलब नहीं है तो मांगना पड़ेगा.
Okay, what are the red flags which both of them should understand? And then don't even ask for consent if there is a red flag on.
What is red flag? Please define it further.
The red flag means that
warning signs.
आज mood नहीं है, आज दारू पिया हुआ है. Don't even ask for that. So like say a person will communicate that they don't have consent by action पहले ही. So you understand कि नहीं, don't even ask for a consent today.
And it applies to both the sexes. Is that correct?
So, yeah, both the sexes. Of course, both the
Okay.
sexes. So there is alcohol, she's pushing away or he's pushing away or pulling away and avoiding eye contact, not talking to each other, shaking their head, silence, and all those things are red flags. So if things are like this are happening, just don't ask, just cool off. It's not your day today.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So this is something which people should understand, that there could be a red flag. Someone is looking scared, sad. Let's come to the POSCO, which you've been talking about, the age, and we'd like you to.
Can I just interrupt?
Yes, please. Yes, Dr. Yes, Leena.
So about your red flags, I want to say that yes, you may sort of understand from your partner's gestures, verbal, non-verbal, whatever it is that, she's not in a mood or he's not in a mood. But I think it's important to still communicate about all of these red flags that you're seeing. Because I think for good sexual intimacy, there also has to be some emotional intimacy.
Absolutely
and if you can be perceptive about that, it's good to talk about it.
Communication is the best thing. If she's crying or he's crying, or if he's sad, maybe some stress in the office, some financial loss. So that has to be talked about before that will keep the relationship healthy, and automatically it may move on to the next step. Let's talk of the age. Quickly, the lawyers and the police people and Jagdish can tell us about the POSCO Act. They've told us a lot, but consent with us of sex with a minor. Yeah.
Currently, the law looks at 18 years. 18 years is the age when somebody is mature enough to decide that they can consent. The assent which is given lesser than that age has no value in the eye of law. But we all as doctors know that the sexual curiosity and other issues, but unfortunately, whatever we are trying out in the law, it has not worked. And currently law looks strictly at 18 years. And that's the real problem of the romantic relationships and all the fight which is going on. So that's what I think.
Can I ask Amodji, if the boy and the girl both are 16 and high school, and they have sex, what they both will get hauled under the law?
Happens, I mean, it is becoming a big issue, and let me inform you that because of my association with Prayas and Kailash Satyarthi Foundation, presently we are running a project in 200 districts of India, and there are a couple of thousand cases of POXO that we are dealing directly. So not in my police capacity, which is of course long back. And this is the biggest problem because majority of the cases, there are nearly 60,000 cases annually in POXO. POXO is one of the laws in social sector which has become very, very popular in the sense that it's being used. Otherwise, social sector laws are not being used. Now, majority of cases, they are failing in the court, and partly for the reason that those romantic, you said about romantic relationships, various high courts are giving their own opinion. Supreme Court is also coming off to give opinion. The fact remains that both the parties, the boy and the girl, they happen to be less than 18 years of age. They are found indulging in sex, any kind of sex, and that report is given, there is a case. Because there is nothing called consensual sex so far as less than 18 is concerned. Below 18, no consent is valid. No consent is valid. This is the biggest issue today with us. Because exploratory sex is not taught in the schools and colleges. It's not an exercise which is kind of given to somebody. It happens, and it has an evolutionary process. And exploratory sex is the one through which people learn. Everybody learns, all of us. Now the issue is that there is no consent about it, and that becomes a crime. It is becoming a serious issue. I'll agree with you. So below 18, no consent. Since no consent, both the parties can be brought into it. Juvenile Justice Act, it is considered to be a heinous offense. And heinous offense carries very serious, it is considered very serious, because as you know that under Juvenile Justice Act, any crime less than 7 years of punishment, carrying less than 7 years punishment, has a different treatment altogether. The FIR need not be registered, and the child can be let off under JJ Act, Juvenile Justice Act. But since the punishment is more than that, and majority of cases under POCSO are covered in a situation where they get caught, they become accused.
So this is POCSO. There is also another gray area. One of them, if the girl gets pregnant, she falls under the MTP Act. She can have an MTP without disclosure, and POCSO we have to report. So that's also a gray area, which of course we don't have time to discuss.
Mandatory reporting. I mean, the gathering that we are in today, we must. I mean, I would like to point out that mandatory reporting is a serious problem with people like you. I mean, those who happen to be doctors, particularly, they come across. But mandatory reporting is there. If you fail, now the law is still firm. I mean,
sir, if she's pregnant and I do a medical termination of pregnancy, the MTP Act tells me no reporting.
No, MTP is a separate issue. But then
also MTP, this is a 16-year-old girl, 16-year-old girl who has had sex and she's got pregnant. So she falls into the MTP Act. And under POCSO, I have to report. Under MTP, I don't report. I'm sorry.
Sir, can I come in?
Yes, please. Just this is the last discussion we are having, because it's gone a little away.
No. The issue which you raised, because largely we are obstetricians here. I think this was settled by the Supreme Court in X sources, Principal Secretary of NCT last year. So what the court has pointed out is, in such situations wherever the minor or the minor's parent requests for identity to be kept confidential, in such cases, yes, the hospital should go ahead with the MTP keeping the identity confidential, but it doesn't bar mandatory reporting. We are bound to inform the mandatory reporting. Then a question comes, how do we operationalize that? So you have to put a pseudonym for that, like XYZ ABC in your records. And that is where you try to do a mandatory reporting, and as well as carry out your therapeutic role of providing MTP. So that's the issue currently we are at, because the Supreme Court clarified to a large extent in the last year's judgment.
So that is something.
The identity has to be kept totally confidential in all cases concerning children under JJ Act also. Under POCSO, the identity issue becomes far more stringent, and it can be penal. You can actually attract penal offenses, becomes a penal offense many a times. So identity is a common. It is applied to all.
Sir.
Yes, Dr. Gitin.
Yes, sir. Basically, MTP Act says that confidentiality of the patient should be maintained. But if you give the information to the police, it never breaches the confidentiality. The burden of keeping confidentiality is shifted on police simultaneously. Yes, so in POCSO Act also, it is clearly mentioned that whenever you are informing the police, it becomes the duty of police to keep confidentiality, and so they cannot divulge the name.
The papers. The next day it's in newspapers.
Sir, but duty is on police. It will never come in newspaper.
No, not only
from the SHO.
Anybody, POCSO and in Juvenile Justice Act, it will never come directly in media with name. Not possible.
It leaks from that police station.
Sir, that is their responsibility, not your responsibility.
Okay, so let's conclude by understanding.
Let me clarify. The section 19.
Section 19 is there.
It talks about the reporting of the offense to police, local police, as special juvenile police unit. But then the point is that confidentiality is something which is absolutely, it is statutory requirement for anybody. Those who are running homes, those who are looking after children, hospitals, doctors, it is common to everyone, confidentiality. But then police, yes.
Many a times when doctor gives information to the police people don't know anything about this.
Yeah,
And
that is the problem.
Sometimes refuses to take the information also and give the acknowledgement. That is the problem.
So let's conclude that we have understood what is consent. We've understood what is sexual assault, and there are some guidelines. Consent can be withdrawn. Being in relationship does not mean that it is a permanent consent. Saying yes out of fear is not consent. Clear, concise way of an influence of drugs, alcohol is not a consent. If you can't stand, you cannot consent. If you're slurring in speech, it is not consent. If you're falling asleep, it is not consent. If you vomited, it is not consent. So that things everyone has to understand on both the sides, both the sides, on the male and the female side. And there are some good men project which you feel, and I think people should go to this website, the Good Men Project, and understand on what consent is. And lastly, the absence of no does not mean yes. And the same goes for maybe, and silence and not responding is no. It does not mean yes. So that we have to understand what it is. So one last punchline from all of you, starting from Dr. Gitin.
Sir, whether it is a sexual act or anything else, the principle of consents are clearly given in the law.
The principle is given clear. One line only.
So consent means parties should be competent. The legal purpose of consent should be legal. It should be a free consent without coercion, without undue influence, without fraud, without any. It should not be obtained under the effect of intoxicating substance or anesthetic substance. So patients should be conscious, and it should be a voluntary consent after understanding the consequences.
Amodji, your one line message to all who are listening today.
No, even in sex there has to be dignity.
So even in sex there has to be a consent. Jagdish,
consent and dignity. Consent, dignity. Of course.
Dignity, perfect. Lovely.
Consent is a must for healthy sexual relationship, and
consent
we all
is a
should
must for healthy sexual relationship.
And we all should spread this message.
This is the message. Pallavi, if you're there, not Veena then.
Consent is a process.
Yes, Veena.
Consent is a process.
It's a process. So it's a process. You just can't say yes or no. It's a process by taking you out for dinner and things like that. Rahul Wani.
Sexual relationship, if you objectify them and if it is just for physical desire, then these questions of consent become very, very important. It should be from both sides. But when
no objectification of women, especially. So no objectification. You let them wear what they want. What they wear is not a consent. Who else we have? We have Tripti.
Tripti.
Sir, I would say that we should rise above movies like Kabir, the influence it has, and cliches like uski naam mein haan hai, uski mauन स्वीकृति hai, ladki हंसी तो फंसी, because the crowd follows these things. And for women, that yes, I mean, don't say yes under pressure that this guy would go away. If the person loves you, they'll come back even if you say no, if you're not prepared for it.
Perfect. Very lovely. Thank you very, very much. Wish you all a very sexy World Sexual Health Day. Remember to take a consent today, and always, even in whichever stage of relationship you are. Thank you all the panelists, and thank you Neeraj Jadhav for giving me this opportunity to moderate this panel and to bring out some very, very interesting facts and about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Neeraj, you would like to.
Yes, Kiran. It was a wonderful moderation, Malhotra sir, and
we must say that. Clap for him.
Raised by all the panelists. We really enjoy listening to the whole panel. So I'm thankful to everyone who took participation in this panel. Thank you from bottom of my heart.
Thanks to you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
That was very engrossing and very, very lively and interesting, and so many inputs.
Yes.
Please say it was a very sexy panel.
It is.
Sir, whatever we will discuss here, ultimately the judgments of different courts are so contradictory.
I know.
It's an ongoing process, sir.
We can't help it. I think that everyone needs to be educated. So
I hope we have a recording because it's a
Yes,
program.
yes.
We're going to share it widely, sir. Thank you
Yes,
so
yes.
much. Now over
Wonderful
to
session.
yes, over to Dr. Supriya for the next talk. I think that would be equally engrossing and very knowledgeable talk from.
Thank you. We can leave if you permit. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for joining.
Thank you, sir.
So now we are going to have another talk. And to chair the session, we have Dr. Asha Baxi Madam. She is the Vice President Fogsi West Zone at present. And she is also Treasurer SR, member of Executive Committee AICC RCOG West Zone. Then she is recipient of so many awards, Kumud Tamaskar Award, and many more. She has organized so many conferences. She has got great organizational skill. So, Madam, I welcome you. And the next chairperson is, can I have Dr. Alka Pandey, Madam? I think she is joined or not, but then she is the Vice President of Fogsi. She is also of East Zone. She was Chairperson, Practical Obstetric Committee of Fogsi, National Corresponding Editor Jogi. She was also past President of Patna OBGY Society. So I welcome both the chairpersons, and I request Dr. Asha Bakshi Madam to introduce the speaker. Over to Asha Bakshi Madam.
Is Madam there, Asha Madam? No problem. If Madam is not there, you can introduce Madam. Dr. Supriya?
Yes. Okay, so it's an honor to introduce the speaker. She has got mission statement, brief profile. She is an obstetric gynecologist with a strong focus on child rights and rural maternal and child health. And she has been training consultant, Meghalaya Health System Strengthening Project. She is the obstetrician gynecologist, the maternal, infant and child health, and she has got many accolades to her credit. Sexual activity working in the field of reproductive rights and sexual health for 25 years. So she can be a very good speaker, and we will really benefit lots from Madam Shaibala. So over to you for your presentation.
Thank you. I know I'm running short of time. I shall try. I
Monica,
switch off the share and I'll start sharing my screen.
Priyank आने वाला है कि नहीं? Vote of thanks उसको देना है.
You can share, Madam.
Yes, I'm just trying to my thing started. Come into Zoom. Yes. Yes. Can you see my?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll start on comprehensive section. How much time do I have, by the way? We close at 8?
20 minutes, no problem. You can continue. We want to get all the details. So time is not an issue.
Comprehensive sexuality education, I would say, connects directly with the conversation earlier regarding consent, because we want to develop a healthy sexual behavior. Now, let us look at what is CSE. What is comprehensive sexuality education basically? The WHO says it's a curriculum-based process. So therefore, it means there has to be a structure to it. It's of teaching and learning about cognitive, emotional, physical, and the social aspects of sexual health. The intention is to equip children and young people with knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values, to help them realize their health, well-being, and dignity, to develop respectful social and sexual relationships, to consider how their choices affect their own well-being and that of the others, and to understand and ensure the protection of their rights throughout their lives. Now, this is typical BBS days where we had very complicated, examples and definitions. Let's go to it very simply. Why do we need CSE? There are basically 3 reasons. One is to empower our children and our youth, protect our children and our youth, and finally support our youth in their development in such a way that we create a mature society. And a mature society is one which asks and gives consent when it wants. Let us look at the scenario of sexuality in India. We are terribly heteronormative. You know, there was a statement saying that if a man is raped, he enjoys it. I have met a lot of men who have been raped. I have met boys who have been raped, and not one of them enjoyed the process. The presumption that they should have enjoyed it stops them from reporting. We come from a binary place. We were always talking of he's and she's, of men and women. And now we know that that's no longer so. There are people who are non-binary. There are people who are gender fluid. And we need to be able to understand these. We have a gendered society. A gendered society is one which works by presumptions of putting one against the other. And I would say even for men, the fact that a man feels uncomfortable to ask for consent has somehow lost some of his sensitivity. A woman who feels she cannot give consent is not fully empowered. And someone who does not consider themselves either male or female is unable to express their desire for either sex. This again is harmful. The male-dominated presumption, and that comes from a marriage-centric view, that sex is always marriage-centric. You know, some of you were saying that, oh, teenagers are also indulging in sex. Of course. The age of sex has gone way up over the top. Earlier, our great-great-grandparents would get married at 12, 13, 14, 15. When they had sexual feelings, they were having sex and children. But now we want our children to study. We want them to get a job. We want them to wait before they get married, before they start a family. And so therefore, their sexual feelings still arise in any case. So the concept that marriage is a proper vehicle for sex is also which causes harm. Because the opposite, therefore, if you are married, your partner has to have sex with you, whether you like it or not. So much so that a very regressive police code says restitution of conjugal rights, as if it is your demand. And here, I don't know, and probably Mr. Amod Kant would be able to tell us, when men ask for conjugal rights in jail, so they are prisoners and their wife is expected to come, or partner is expected to come to the jail and have sex with them, is considered a right. On the other hand, how many women ask for conjugal rights and would that be accepted too? Shows a gendered society. And it is procreative. And the reason we say procreative is that you're meant to have sex because you want to have babies. But on the other hand, if you have sex and you become pregnant and you want to go for a termination of pregnancy, is nothing that you'd ever talk about. So for most people, having an MTP is something that is hidden. And most people have never discussed it because somehow it is a shame. And somehow sexuality is devoid of guiltless pleasure or absolute consent. That somehow pleasure always has to be tinged with guilt because somehow having pleasure in sex seems to be there's something wrong, a basic need, something which is atavistic or primitive and not of the higher spiritual order. And this actually confuses people. If you look at sexuality in India, the present state of this sort of heteronormative, cishet, gendered, marriage-centric sex results in silence. And the silence affects the ability to talk about it. And I'm so glad that Dr. Neeraj has started off these many, many sessions on sexuality, which is so important for us as doctors to know. The shame attached to it, the shame of being able to say one enjoys sex, one wants sex, to be able to demand sex for both men and women. The vilification of anybody. So as you mentioned that a woman wearing less clothes, walking across a room is not a sign of consent. But when did the clothes of a woman become a sign of her character or a sign of her improper behavior? Why is an absence of clothes just an absence of clothes? Powerlessness, an inability to resist sexual abuse or sexual assault, the trauma of being sexualized, forced into it. And then the forced sexualization of young children. When we talk about it, you look at the dresses that girls wear, that boys wear, the sort of dances that are done. And the sexualization of young children does come into it, where you are stimulating their senses, which are inherent in the brain, and then telling them not to behave like that. So let's look at how the comprehensive sexuality education empowers our children. First thing is the comfort with our own body. And, one of the very important things is bedwetting. So if you understand that even before a child understands about sex, there is a shame attached to this body. So this young child, 2, 3, 4-year-old, comes running out of the bathroom without their clothes on, happiness at being unfettered with clothes. And somebody turns around and says, shame, chi, ganda. And over a period of time, the kid is shocked. He looks around, what have I done? Same body which was there inside has come out. What's the difference? And then they also realize that there is a small triangle of cloth which was missing. So the shame is there. And so the very, very important functions of our body, of passing urine and passing stools, also becomes stuck in the sense of shame. How many of you in class felt uncomfortable to say, may I please use the toilet in the classroom? Because somehow that was embarrassing, to be able to say, I need to go to the toilet, because people will look at you, and somehow toilet is associated with a shameful area. How this comprehensive sexuality education works, and it starts from class 1, in fact, from Montessori. So I was taking a class with class 4 students, and it was a mixed class. And I was talking about how the body develops. And I was saying that so many things we learn as we grow, and our body learns as it grows. And I said, one of them is passing urine. I said, have any of you ever peed in the class or peed in your clothes? And some of the kids turned around and said, oh, ma'am, he. And that little boy was looking so sad. And so many others looked shameful and embarrassed. And I said, I bedwet the first time when I was 12 years old. And they looked at me in shock, and they said, really? So I told them the story of how in my sleep, I actually dreamt I was going to the bathroom. And then just when I was peeing, I woke up in bed, in a wet bed, having peed around. And they were amused and compassionate and saying, but it wasn't your fault. This happened, this first time sexuality education, when we first started taking these classes, most schools would tell us, no, we don't need it. So this was in my children's school because somehow they trusted me. So during the PTM meeting, a couple of months later, a couple of parents came up to me and said, doctor, are you the person who's been taking classes on the body for our children? So I immediately, rebounded a little bit, because I wasn't sure whether I was going to get slapped or beaten or something. So I said, yes. And I was waiting for some bad news. And then they said, no, we just wanted to tell you, our son has a problem of bedwetting since he was small. He was born preterm, and somehow he's still just 8 years old, and he hasn't really developed it. So he doesn't bedwet often, but once in about 2-3 months, he does pee at night. So I said, oh, I see. And she said, and because of that, he has never gone for any school camps because he's very embarrassed about it. But the other day he came back from the class and he said, Amma, do you know that sometimes even can bedwet? That ma'am who had come to talk to us, she bedwet when she was 12 years old. And she said, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So next school camp I'm going, because all my friends know that it's okay, that sometimes it can happen and it's not my fault. And for the first time, I realized what is the power of comprehensive sexuality education. So this whole thing of getting comfortable with your body, accepting differences. In another class 2, I had taken, this was the 3rd session. We used to take 40-minute sessions according to the classes across 5 weeks, one session per class. It was class 2. So I'd come into the class for the 3rd time. And as I came in, this little girl came running out and she said, ma'am, do you see something different? So I looked at her, and for the life of me, I could not make out what was different. But I said, I think something's different, but I can't really make out what. Can you please tell me? And she said, I'm wearing my specs. And I said, really? And what had happened was, in the previous class, I was talking about our skin color. And I was talking about the shapes of bodies. And I had told them about how our brown skin is like an umbrella. That when we go swimming or we go out, our skin becomes dark brown because we have melatonin. It's like an umbrella which protects us from skin cancers. And they all had seen some person who was, European or Caucasian who had got red blotches and things on their face. So they understood what I was talking about. And I said, being brown is great because it's protects us from the sun in our country. Similarly, I had spoken about spectacles, and I talked to them about my spectacles, saying that I got my specs when I was in class 5, and my friends used to tease me, so all the marks. Earlier, my maths were very bad because I would always note all the notes down from the blackboard all wrong. And yet, when I started wearing specs, I got almost 100 on 100 on mathematics, and I was so delighted that I loved my specs. And this little girl said, you know, ma'am, I used to put my specs in my bag when I used to get out from the bus, and then I would never wear my specs in class. And when I got home, just before my bus stop came and my mama waits for me, I would put on my specs and go out. But now I'm going to wear my specs every time. And so we have to understand that sexuality is just a continuum of our respect and our love of our body. And that is what is so important. So in the younger classes, that is what we talk about. So where I, as a gynecologist, trying to bring this into my practice is when I ask people, not, are you married? I ask them, do you have a partner? I ask them, what would you like to be called? Do you identify yourself as he or she or they? What would you like me to call you? And this has a lot of times brought out from my patients concerns about their sexuality, bisexuality, health. And these are things which are very, very important in comprehensive sexuality education, to be able to tell somebody that they are perfectly normal, that there is nothing wrong with them and they are just different. And understanding puberty. One of my colleagues at Enfold got a call. She had been to 2-3 schools across many years. And then one day she got a call at 11 o'clock at night. She sleeps at 9. So she woke up with a fright and she said, hello. And this boy said, ma'am, can I ask you a question, ma'am? And she said, who is this? So he said, ma'am, I don't want to tell you my name, but I'm from so-and-so school. You know, 2 years ago, you had come when I was in class 8 and you had taken classes for us on our body. Ma'am, I want to ask you one question. I'm giving my class 10 exams and my finals. And somebody said, if you masturbate, it's a sin and you will fail your exams because you can't concentrate. And ma'am, I masturbate. Will I fail my exams? And my poor friend, you know, woken up in the middle of her sleep, had to get all her, you know, thoughts together and say, no, your exams are about what you have learned over so many years. What exam is it? So he said, English. So she said, can you tell me some of the chapters? And she spoke to him gently, and he spoke and he answered and he answered. And she asked him and she said, what do you like in your chapters? What do you like in the studies? And then she said, you know, there's so much you know. I don't think that's a worry. And masturbation is a normal, healthy process, something that helps you release your urges. It's not a sin. There's nothing wrong with it. And your exams, you will do well. Please don't worry about it. And I would like to say, and it did happen, that he called her a month later saying, my exams went well, ma'am. I'm waiting for my results, but thank you so much for listening to me. And the sad thing was, among all his parents, family, teachers, he just remembered the phone number of a person who had spoken 2 years ago about how important it is to take care of your body. This is the power of comprehensive sexuality education, and that is how it empowers our children. Let us look at protecting our children. That is a very important part. Learning to maintain boundaries. When we talk about hugs and kisses, you know, this whole concept of consent. Consent comes in sex, but much before that, by the time you're 5 or 6 or 7, you can say, please don't kiss me. I had a nephew who used to come from Delhi and I said, I love coming to Dadi's house here, but why do I have to kiss all the old aunties? He didn't like it. And yet when he would tell his parents, I don't want to kiss anybody, his parents would say, keep quiet, don't talk like that, they'll feel very bad. Why should an adult feel bad? Why can't a child say, I can love you perfectly well and I can respect you, I don't want to kiss you. So learning to maintain boundaries, celebrating diversity, being shorter, being heavier, being thinner, being darker, being lighter, wearing specs, being different in any way, having a particular disability, all that is something which is part of human beings, and to be able to respect everyone like that. And this is what prevents bullying. comprehensive sexuality education is a continuum. You can get bullied for your name or for your clothes or the food you eat. And if you're not able to stand up to the bullying, one day you get bullied into having sex or forcing yourself on somebody else because you didn't have the strength to be able to say no. And no one taught you, no adult taught you that your no is to be respected. The next thing about comprehensive sexuality education, very, very important, is personal boundaries. And we call it in personal spaces. And that is how a child recognizes abuse. If you're touched anywhere, what we do is we have a little doll, a paper cut doll, and we have red and green bindis. And we say, where is it okay for to be touched? Put a green bindi. Where is it okay not to be touched? And they put it on. One child put red bindis across her whole body. She says, I don't like anybody touching me, even my hair. That's fine. That's to be respected. Another one said, I don't mind them touching me. They can kiss me on my cheek and all that, but just not, on my susu part or on my bum. I don't like it. One other child said, I don't like being touched on my tummy. And he was a little chubby. And he said, people pinch my tummy and they pinch my cheeks. I don't like it. And the concept that a child can say, I don't like it, and the adults who are taking the session listen and say, yes, we agree with you. And everybody in your class listens to you and says, we agree with you. We understand. That is the power of comprehensive sexuality education. And finally, speaking to parents and teachers, because parents are the first teachers for a child. Very often when I have spoken to children in class 8 or 9, and I tell them, you must talk to boys and girls, talk to everybody. And they look at me, they say, really? I said, yes. I'd ask a girl, if you're interested in boys and you've never spoken to boys, and one time some boy comes and gives you a rose and says, I love you, you're fantastic, you're wonderful, I'm going to marry you, and come and have sex with me, you might believe him. But if you've met many boys and you've seen many people, you'll be like, yeah, I understand. Let's take it slowly. Let's not go so far. And, promise of marriage doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to let you have sex with me. Let's work on it slowly. And when I say this, my teacher went and told my parents that I see your daughter going home every day with boys. You please do something about it. Makes me up. I don't know what to do. They won't let me speak. And this is where we hamper our children. So what we did in one school where we took comprehensive sexuality education, where we asked the mothers or the primary caregiver for the child to come and talk. So they were sitting in the class, and on one side we had the students from class 6, and we asked the women, the mother, grandmother, aunts who were there, how many of you, your parents spoke to you about periods earlier? And just 3 out of 60 put up their hands. And then we asked the girls, how many of your mothers have spoken to you, or your primary caregiver who's spoken to you? And they said, almost 25 to 30 of the girls put up their hands. And I said, that's how we progress in society, that parents are talking about it. And we spoke about the comfort. Mothers spoke about their period cramps and their worries and how they felt the shame and embarrassment when their periods are, what they didn't want their daughters to have to face. And it was a beautiful session. So comprehensive sexuality education is a lot of involvement of parents and teachers in it. So children say, talk to teachers. They still believe that girls and boys talking to that girl always talks to the boy. There is gossip in the class, in the staff rooms. A lot of teachers complain to the parents, and children get beaten because of that, because the teachers are not able to handle the obvious development of adolescent sexuality coming up. And this is also very important. So we often talk to teachers. So before we take classes on sexuality education for children, we talk to teachers and we ask them, do you remember what mistakes you've made in your life? You don't need to tell us, but just write it down in a paper. And of all the mistakes, and then we ask them to fold the papers and we put them into a bag, and then we take them out and read them one at a time, and then we put them away because you don't want anybody to recognize who wrote what through their handwritings. And none of the mistakes they have made is comparable when you talk of the mistakes their students make, because the students make much less. And we ask our teachers, would you like your children also to know the mistakes you have made are not something which will affect your life? That mistakes are things that we have to make in our ability to learn more and to develop our self-worth. And how do we progress forward? So So this is known as the life skills approach to sexuality education. And as you all know what the WHO says about life skills, it talks about ability to manage your emotions, manage stress. It talks of communication, interpersonal relationship.
I think some net issue from Dr. Saibia. Kiran? Hello.
Yes, yes. Do we wait? I think the talk was
Just
going on very well.
wait for 2 minutes.
And meanwhile, can we have the video of consent tea and
Yeah.
or do we wait?
Sama?
Or shall we wait? Madam may join in any minute.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, 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 ma'am. Please.
Madam
Yes,
is
so sorry for that.
1 minute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can.
1 minute.
So the life skills approach to sexuality
Ma'am,
looks at the
reshare
10
your
parts of sexuality education.
Dr. Saldana, you have to share your presentation again. Hello?
Oh, I have shared it already. It's not showing?
No, we are not able to see.
We're not able to see it. You need to share it again, I think.
Okay, I'll do it again.
And yes.
Is it clear now? Can you see it?
No, no, madam.
No, ma'am, not able to see.
Okay, doesn't matter. I will just continue with it. It's not a problem. So I will just continue with the last. That was my last slide, actually. It was talking about the importance of life skill sexuality education as being very much part of development. It has to show how we develop, and it's important to be meshed with everything in our lives, whether it's physical abuse, emotional abuse, or sexual abuse. It also talks about respect and consent and
I think there is some net
Yes.
issue.
Net issues. Yeah, reconnected again.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
You are muted, Dr. Shavia. Unmute yourself.
right now. Yeah, I've unmuted myself. Can you hear me now?
Right, yes.
So this is the case. So this is where I would like to speak about the importance of LGBTQI. We talk about gender. So in comprehensive sexuality education, we start from class 1, but from class 1 to class 4 is just body image, understanding one's body, being comfortable with one's body, not bullying others, nor being bullied, not allowing oneself to be bullied. By class 5, 6, 7, we talk about the changes, early changes of puberty. We also talk about communication with parents, communications with one's peers. We talk about negotiation skills. And finally, from 8, 9, 10, 11, we talk about sex, about contraception, about STIs, about
Dr. Shavia, are you there? Dr. Kiran?
Yes. I think
I will now close my talk because I think my computer itself is telling me you're over time. Are there any questions?
Not at all, madam. I think we all were mesmerized by your talk. We have learned and heard about CSC. I think I'll leave it to chairpersons. We have two honorable VPs.
No, madam. Asa madam is not there and Alka madam is not there. So no
Okay,
issue.
then.
Yeah.
I think we are mesmerized by your talk. You have made it the life skills approach to CSC. We know about CSC, but practically you have been doing, and really, really honored to hear you. Dr. Neeraj.
Yeah, it's always fantastic to hear from Dr. Saibia about the sexuality education because she is doing it since so many years. And we all know that so many things can be prevented about the violence and this consent and the sexuality, healthy sexuality by the proper implementation of the sexuality education. So I hope somehow or with all organization coming together like Fogsi, IMA, and we can have some sort of communication with the government. We can have some basic sexuality education all across our country so that our future generation can have a better sexual health and better understanding of the sexual health. So
Actually, the talk is so relevant to the consent because it starts when you are young to establish your boundaries, bodily autonomy, respecting children's, that bodily cues and all this. Then only the abuse and the concept of consent will not be so blurred as it is now in our adult society. And also the spectrum that you always reminded, madam. I think we should keep that in mind always. Thank you so much.
there are so many resistance from the social, cultural, political, so many other things are still not allowing us to do this happen, to do the sexuality education in our school. But I hope things will improve in near future. So with this note, thank you, Dr. Saibya. It was a wonderful as always. We always love to hear from you. Thank you for coming to this webinar and sharing your experience. Yeah.
Dr. Supriya.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. This is a much needed topic that we all need to know and implement in our society and convince people. Actually, nobody is ready to, even the school people. I had gone to the school programs. They said, no, sexuality, no need to tell. Just tell about the menstrual hygiene part. So they stopped me. So still the literate people also not very keen to hear all about all this. So, Dr. Kitman?
Yeah, but when we were doing Dhira programs, initially when we talked about violence against women, the term itself would, make people little kind of jittery. But once we ran through the module, the teachers and the parents were very happy that there was a platform and doctors are coming and talking about these things. So I think CSC also we need to break those barriers.
Yes.
And take
keep on doing, keep on convincing, then maybe one day like it will come into.
Yeah. Yes, Dr. Kiran and Supriya, we can have that two video which we can present because it is related to consent, theme of today's day. Dr. Sama, can you play that both video? This is, we all know this scene from the movie, but still we want to see today.
No. No, Your Honor. ना सिर्फ एक शब्द नहीं, अपने आप में एक पूरा वाक्य है, Your Honor. इसे किसी तर्क, स्पष्टीकरण, एक्सप्लेनेशन या व्याख्या की जरूरत नहीं होती. ना का मतलब ना ही होता है. My client said no, Your Honor. And these boys must realize no का मतलब no होता. उसे बोलने वाली लड़की कोई परिचित हो, फ्रेंड हो, गर्लफ्रेंड हो, कोई सेक्स वर्कर हो, या आपकी अपनी बीवी क्यों ना. No means no. And when someone says so, you stop.
So this video has somehow become synonymous with the word consent. And there is another video which simply explains about the consent with a simple thing like tea. So Sama, can you play that video?
If you're still struggling with consent, just imagine instead of initiating sex, you're making them a cup of tea. You say, hey, would you like a cup of tea? And they go, oh my God, fuck yes, I would fucking love a cup of tea, thank you. Then you know they want a cup of tea. If you say, hey, would you like a cup of tea? And they're like, I'm not really sure. Then you could make them a cup of tea, or not, but be aware they might not drink it. And if they don't drink it, then, and this is the important part, don't make them drink it. Just because you made it doesn't mean you are entitled to watch them drink it. And if they say no thank you, then don't make them tea. At all. Just don't make them tea. Don't make them drink tea. Don't get annoyed at them for not wanting tea. They just don't want tea, okay? They might say, yes, please. That's kind of you. And then when the tea arrives, they actually don't want the tea at all. Sure, that's kind of annoying as you've gone to all the effort of making the tea, but they remain under no obligation to drink the tea. They did want tea, now they don't. Some people change their mind in the time that it takes to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk. And it's okay for people to change their mind. And you are still not entitled to watch them drink it. And if they're unconscious, don't make them tea. Unconscious people don't want tea. And they can't answer the question, do you want tea? Because they're unconscious. Okay, maybe they were conscious when you asked them if they wanted tea. And they said yes. But in the time it took you to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk, they are now unconscious. You should just put the tea down. Make sure the unconscious person is safe. And this is the important part again. Don't make them drink the tea. They said yes then, sure, but unconscious people don't want tea. If someone said yes to tea, started drinking it, and then passed out before they'd finished it, don't keep on pouring it down their throat. Take the tea away. Make sure they're safe, because unconscious people don't want tea. Trust me on this. If someone said yes to tea around your house last Saturday, that doesn't mean they want you to make them tea all the time. They don't want you to come around to their place unexpectedly and make them tea and force them to drink it going, but you wanted tea last week. Or to wake up to find you pouring tea down their throat going, but you wanted tea last night. But if you can understand how completely ludicrous it is to force people to have tea when they don't want tea, and you're able to understand when people don't want tea, then how hard is it to understand it when it comes to sex? Whether it's tea or sex, consent is everything. And on that note, I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea.
So such a creative video simply explaining about the concept of the consent. So it's really easy to understand what is really consent is all about. I think Dr. Yasodhara Madam is there. Would you like to say something, Yasodhara Madam? Any Yasodhara Pradeep Madam? Yes. Unmute yourself, Madam. Yes.
Yeah, I would say that it was a wonderful celebrations on the World Sexual Health Day, 4th of September. And on the consent, the different views came out. Different people have expressed how to take a consent in a different manner, but it all boils down to consent. Whether it is being said in a gesture, whether it is being said in a written, whether it is being said in a verbal, but consent is. But this video, which I have seen in the end, at the end, beautiful video, which has explained everything. What is consent? So without wording, using the name of a consent, they have said everything. So that is how probably we have to proceed and say. So I must congratulate Dr. Neeraj to you and to your team, Dr. Kiranmai, Dr. Supriya, and our SEPOC people, that it was a wonderful this thing. And the talk of Dr. Prakash Kothari was excellent. I am really thankful to the president, Dr. Rishikesh Pai, Dr. Madhuri Patel, and everyone who joined this webinar, because we all have learned today the consent. And sexual consent is a very important, is an integral part of any sexual activity. because it can avoid your many legal issues, the consequences, pregnancies, STDs, and many more things. So we must learn about the sexual behavior and the consent. So my congratulations to you, Dr. Neeraj, and your team. You have done a wonderful job on a very difficult topic. I have seen throughout your this year that you are doing a wonderful this thing. So we can see that everything is, I mean, taboo of talking about the sex is it should not be a taboo. We should all come out. And let me tell you, I don't do much practice, but I still get patients. I do not know the reason for it because I'm not a sexologist. And they say, Madam, where to go? So I want to answer, any one of you can answer. Like last month, I had 3 patients. They all had a years of marriage, 3 to 6 years. But they, even the woman said, मैडम मैं तो अपने हस्बैंड से कहती हूँ भाई तुम सेक्स के लिए दूसरी शादी कर लो, तुम दूसरी औरत रख लो, मैं नहीं इसमें इन्वॉल्व हो सकती। तो मैंने उसको बहुत अपनी तरह से जो काउंसलिंग कर सकती थी वो समझाया कि भाई यू आर इन अ मैरिज, you are, if you want a family, so it is a part of this. Although I have done for the frigidity, I have done 3, 4, 5 IUIs in my, because I have no more practices in this thing. But in 99, I remember I was doing a very good infertility. I mean, college mein, it is in the institute. And I did a ICSI workshop, live ICSI workshop in 1999 AICOG at Lucknow. So at that time, many people have, because Dr. Sadhana Desai, Dr. Jatin Shah was there. So people wanted to have a consultation with them. And then it is they have suggested that Yashoda, there's no other choice except to do a IUI to these women. And they conceived somebody from the twin, somebody from the singleton, and their marriage is still working. But because I have never asked about it, but many people I heard that they live as a friends. There is no sex between them. Or they had some. So I do not know how to say that, because they are already having a children. So there's no point. Some people can have this, although the spark should be alive. But how to treat these people, where to send them, where they can get a consultation, whom this thing, the husbands are very patient, that they do not force anything. But how they are going to live and how they are going to conceive, is it the only choice that doing a IUI? And that is all I have done in the general anesthesia of these women.
No, madam.
So I just want an answer from anybody of you,
Yes,
what
yes,
to
madam.
say, how to counsel and how to do it.
Yes, yes, madam. Basically, we as a gynecologist have a very important role to play when it comes to the sexual dysfunction, because we are the primary, sometimes very close to our patient. They can share so many things with us. So it's our duty to learn and to know about the sexual health, various sexual dysfunction. At least we have to be sensitive to this topic. Then only we can help to our patient, because and we also have to be comfortable about this subject, because sometimes what happens, patient tells us, but we are not that much comfortable to talk about this topic. So we have to be comfortable about this topic. We have to gain knowledge and how we can manage such type of patient. We are doing so many activities, so many webinars with the different society. So it should be continued. Then in future things will generally gradually change, and we can have a better sexual health
And I can say
scenario
that
in our
on
country. Yeah.
for vaginal examination, you can find it out that there's hardly any penetration. It's so tight, the vagina is after 3 or 6 years of marriage. And then I just want to know where to refer these people.
No,
How
we have to take responsibility. We have to gain the knowledge about treating, how to treat such type of patient. We have to be proactive in this field. Because
And they are coming
what
from
happens
both sides of
is,
the society. I have seen
Yashudra ma'am,
learned people, very technical people, and very middle, almost uneducated, like inter pass or something, 12th or this thing. I have seen both type of the people.
yes,
Yeah,
thank
Kiran, you are saying something.
Ma'am,
Yes.
actually mental health and sexual health both are kind of taboos we don't talk about. Now mental health also, it is being told that the onus is on us, basically obstetricians and gynecologists, because we are the first point of contact. So as Dr. Neeraj said, I would agree that basic kind of care, and you have to gain knowledge and talk to them and maybe refer if you are not able to handle it. Dr. Hiralal Konar sir wants to say something.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
good evening. Please
Unmute,
unmute
sir.
yourself. Unmute, sir. Sir, unmute.
You are muted, sir. Yes,
Can
sir.
you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Neeraj. Excellent discussion. We have all enjoyed. Good part that on behalf of Bengal Afghan Society, we had the road show
Yes,
for
I know.
nearly 3 hours yesterday morning in the Calcutta. Very successful. No means no.
Yes.
So all that we have done, awareness, social awareness program. Good part again to listen to this session extremely well. As Professor Yashodhara, we are very close to each other. Is it over?
No, sir. You can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear.
Right. And I don't know what happened. I had a patient. I had quite a good number of patients. The other side of this story, one side that we are checking around the sexual violence. On the other hand, Madam has said, one of my patients that throughout the course of treatment, I could not improve this, the vagismus, the problem of rejection to sex. The husband was so patient. Ultimately, they had the pregnancy with insemination by a spoon. They did at home. She conceived entire pregnancy. I could not see her. The family members, both the sides, they were so patient and so quiet and patient, and the husband was so patient that everything went well. So the other side of this story is also because sex has got its anatomical part, it has got psychological part, it has got the major impact on the psychological part. So very difficult as a clinician. Definitely, we are against the violence, but again, then how to improve upon the dysfunction, especially the psychological issue or that of the anatomical impact that can be taken care of. So we need to have more sessions, Neeraj, I feel, regarding both the sides of the story, and that show improvement of our patient care. But again, then I thank you all your team and the Fogsi, excellent thought and the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Apurva, are you there? If you want to say anything about how to change the scenario, Apurva? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just few words from you.
My congratulations to Apurva coming as a next chairperson. Congratulations.
Thank you
so
much, ma'am.
Congrats, Apurva. Congrats.
We have congratulated him yesterday morning. He reached overnight travel
Yes,
from
Apurva.
Dhanbad to Calcutta.
Few quick word from you about
Yes,
how
sir.
to change the scenario.
Small place. So people are coming here with a age, pregnancy with a age of 16 and 17. They don't know what actually marriage is. They don't know what about the sexual intercourse is. They don't know what this consent is. So this is, I'm really thankful to the World Sexual Society, so that they have, choose this very important topic of consent, because definitely content, and actually a lot of people don't know about what is consent is, or is a consent is there or not. There's a wonderful panel was going on, and literally it is an eye-opener panel for all of us, and I am really thankful to all of you, and really Hiralal Konad sir is there. Thank you so much, sir, for organizing such a wonderful rally. It got a widespread, it is a really a eye-opener for the people of Kolkata. It has a widespread, media coverage. Today, I got the cutting, the newspapers are there from the YouTubes, from the different channels. They are showing that. So people do realize that yes, this consent is very, very important. And I'm really thankful to break out and bring out this wonderful, theme of the year, that is the consent. So, and at the last, I am really thankful to Neeraj sir. He is my mentor, my guru. Whatever I know a little about this topic, all due to you, sir. Thank you so much for all.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Apurva.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, with
Excuse
this,
me, sir.
yeah.
Sir,
with this-
myself is the president of Bengal Obstetric Gynecology.
Yes, Dr. Mosmi. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yesterday
Mosmi ma'am is
we had
there.
a
Yeah.
rally of 300, more than 300 people, and I'm
Yeah, I saw that. Congratulations for wonderful program and
with us.
keep spreading the awareness about the sexual health. Thank you for doing all the awareness program. Thank you, Dr. Mosmi.
Yes, thank you.
So with this note, we will finish this program, and before finish program, there should be a vote of thanks. So I'm thankful to our president, Dr. Hrishikesh Pai sir, who agreed to do this program for the Fogsi as a presidential activity, because without his support, this would have not been taken up, this webinar. And I'm thankful to our Secretary General, Dr. Madhuri Patel Madam, for always supporting us, providing us the Zoom platform. Thank you to Dr. Prakash Kothari sir, who is in London, but still he remain present for today's webinar and give his blessings and give his thoughts about the sexual health. I'm thankful to our guest of honor, Dr. Mohammad Samsul Ehsan, who from Bangladesh remain present and give us the special message about the World Sexual Health Day. And then coming to the panel, wonderful panel by Dr. Nandra Malhotra sir, and all the panelists were wonderful. Dr. Amod Khan, Dr. Dakisan, Dr. Mr. Pallavi Ghosh, Dr. Veena Satyanarayan, Dr. Rahul Wani, Dr. Tripti Saran, Dr. Saibia Saldana, and of course our VP, Dr. Gitendra Sharma. It was such a wonderful, eye-opening panel. We really enjoyed listening to it. And the last talk by Dr. Saibia about the role of sexuality education in the developing healthy sexuality. It was a wonderful talk. And in the end, I like to thank all my co-vice committee chairperson, Dr. Riyankur Roy, Dr. Kiran Mai, Dr. Supriya, and Dr. Neharika for doing all this behind the works, because since last one month we were behind this webinar. It requires so many communication and so many planning to do this such type of webinar. And I'm thankful to Dr. Monica and Dr. Sama for all the coordination for this webinar, and thankful to Dr. ICOG people for giving 3 ICOG credit point for this webinar. So thank you all the listener also, because without listener and without attendance, this would have not been that much effective. Dr. Priyankur, are you there? Last word from you.
Yes, sir. Neeraj sir, thank you so much. So,
I was waiting for you. Yeah.
No problem, sir. So I would like to really thank Fogsi. We have thanked everyone, sir. And so we'd just like to thank Fogsi, all the committees, especially. I would like to say over here that Dr. Neeraj Jadhav, sir, has put in a lot of efforts for this webinar, and it's been exemplary work that he has done. So we would like to wish everyone a very happy World Sexual Health Day, and I'm sure Fogsi will continue conducting such programs. And I would like to thank everyone, of course, again. And lastly, of course, Fogsi team, Sangeeta ma'am, and everyone who's created the link and who has given us this link and helped us in conducting this program. And especially, I think Neeraj sir has already done it, but I would like to especially thank Monica and Dr. Sharma for coordinating everything with all the speakers, etc. And that has been exemplary. I'm really sorry for joining late, sir. My talk was going on here in Cochin, where we were going through the Nana Anemia Yatra of Hrishikesh Pai sir. And thank you so much, sir, for doing the job, for giving the vote of thanks as well. Thank you once again.